Hello and welcome to On the Road in Hampton Roads. My name is Andy Bond. Steve Godin and I believe in the saying that God helps those who help themselves. So Steve and I are interviewing people in our area who are bringing that saying to life as we give the American entrepreneurial spirit a voice. Today we're here with Mike Kuhns of the Virginia Peninsula Chamber of Commerce. Mike, thank you very much.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Very nice to meet you, and thanks for hosting us. Could we start off, could you give us a little background about you and what led you to the chamber?
That is a really long story based on my age, but
Well, we have some time.
I started out in business when I was in about 7th grade. I started out with a paper route, and then 2 paper routes, and 3 paper routes, and then I became a manager and managed other kids delivering papers. And so that was the beginning, and I sort of caught the bug. Went to college at Marquette University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, got a Bachelor's of Science degree in Business Administration with marketing and finance majors, and then spent some time in the Army during the Vietnam War, and after that worked for the federal government for a few years as a law enforcement agent, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, and then I proceeded bought my first business, and operated businesses, bought and sold them, fixed them up actually, and that was kind of the history. Was as opposed to starting brand new businesses, I chose to take a look at businesses that needed a little injection of either enthusiasm, income, maybe management, but at any rate they needed to be renovated and hopefully passed on and sold to someone else who was more of a maintainer than a fixer. And so I'm pretty much over the years became a fixer. And at a point in time in my life I was offered an opportunity to come to work for a Chamber of Commerce in Central Illinois and to get involved with economic development and basically create some small business development programs which involved teaching skills and creating mentorships and then access to capital. So how does that all relate to chambers? Well, it's kind of interesting because those very people are our customers, yet chambers are businesses. I look at a chamber, and I fortunately grew up in the business with a gentleman who said the only thing you have to remember is that the only thing nonprofit about the Chamber of Commerce is its tax status. It is not its method of operation. And so basically, I was fortunate to work with that gentleman for about 10 years. We took an organization that had about $17,000 and a staff of 26. And in about 5.5 years, we had about $1.2 million in reserves, and we had actually quite a smaller staff because we started to deploy technology. And so even though you might think of a nonprofit as not entrepreneurial, it really is. You employ the same techniques, the same strategies that you would in any kind of a business. And so from that point on, that gentleman started, I was the CFO and the Chief Operating Officer of the Economic Development Council and CFO of the Corporate Partnership. He started renting me out to other chambers across the country to go out and fix them up and look at them from an organizational standpoint. And he retired, and I left that area to actually run a chamber in eastern Idaho, and then ultimately came to Virginia and served as a consultant to about 40 chambers across the Commonwealth for about 7 years, an organizational consultant, purely operational kinds of things, board management, boardsmanship, those kinds of things. And then this opportunity presented itself, and I was hired by this chamber, and then was named as its president last November. And we've pretty much, with this Chamber of Commerce, we've changed about everything but the name. And the board saw a vision, and the vision was to connect business with opportunity. And we decided how we were going to do that, and we started with a organizational recovery plan, a fiscal recovery plan, a relevance recovery plan, and an involvement recovery plan. And it's all merging together with a year later, basically almost a year later, I'm really proud to say that we are doing a lot more with a lot less, and we fit the nonprofit status in the true sense of my original mentor, where it's a tax status and not a method of operation today. So we're pretty excited about that. So it's kind of a long story about it, but it really started out in the private sector. And of course, as you would probably know, nonprofits are one of the fastest growing economic sectors in the country. And ended up there while working for the government. You'd say, well, how does that relate? Well, in the Army, I was a small unit commander, had 1 officer, 9 enlisted people. I was the officer. We were an autonomous unit. We had to operate independently, so that took the same skills as it takes to run a small business. As a treasury agent, I was charged with developing some national programs on my own that hadn't been developed previously, and so I was given budgets to manage and create entities and do that sort of thing. So it's all kind of followed through. It's kind of interesting, actually. And I ended up as a fixer as opposed to a maintainer. I'd probably be pretty bored if I wasn't in an environment that allowed for a lot of change.
Well, given your perspective then, with your own business experience and then in your position here seeing other businesses, is the American entrepreneurial spirit still alive?
Oh, I think so. I think so. I think the opportunities are as great today as they were 10 or 20 years ago. I think the competition for the entrepreneurial opportunity might be a little tighter, might require skills that weren't necessary. I think probably if you look back 30 years ago, a lot of it, entrepreneurial spirit were maybe among skilled trades, for example, and then with the advent of the technology advancement and that became, you know, the big dot-com explosions, and then of course you had the bubble that broke, and now I think what we see, technology itself has really created wonderful opportunities for people if they're so inclined. I think everybody with a great idea is not meant for entrepreneurship, but if you have the desire and the passion and the capability to pick yourself up when you fall and keep moving, I think there are opportunities there. There are people with experience that are willing to help. The American dream is still alive, where Americans really like to help the underdog and they like to help people who are really trying hard, and I think that's still there. I think it's exciting. The cool thing about being in the chamber management field is that we get to see that, because a lot of our members are exactly, they portray that spirit. And the neat thing about the chamber is we can take the small businesses, blend them with the stage 2 or medium-sized businesses and then the large businesses, and create opportunities for them, or create connections, collaborations that can help them improve their skills. It's really exciting.
How do you see the business future in Hampton Roads?
I think one of the areas of a challenge is the fact that, particularly on the Peninsula, and I must be honest with you, I don't pay a lot of attention to the South Side. Our constituency
Fair enough.
is on the Peninsula. There are 7 chambers of commerce in Hampton Roads. We all have unique markets. Our demographics are vastly unique on the Peninsula, different from on the Peninsula from the South Side. We're a small business community. Obviously, we have the Newport News shipbuilding, and the hospitals and the governmental, the educational institutions are large. But after that, it's very small business. Southside has a whole different business demographic. So we serve this demographic. I think the opportunities here are great. I think that the Peninsula, one of the challenges is that the people that live on the Peninsula have an inferiority complex. And I think once they really realize what they have here, they're so rich in history and culture and opportunities, whether it's NASA Research Lab, whether it's Jefferson Lab, the 4 military facilities, which are all vastly different as opposed to maybe a single purpose as the Navy is on the South Side. In addition, we have the shipyard, which is really interested in innovation. I think there are wonderful opportunities here for people to create new businesses.
You've given us a couple tips just in chatting so far, but Could you share with us one or two tips that you'd give to people who are starting a business adventure?
I think the first thing is to, number one, make a commitment. Number two, learn everything you possibly can about the endeavor you're going to pursue. That includes market studies. We're so rich with resources here, whether it's Hampton U, whether it's Christopher Newport, William and Mary, all of the research libraries around here. I mean, they're just rich with material. The internet, everything, I mean, it's all there. Take time to look at it, research it. Don't convince yourself that this is going to work, because history will demonstrate that probably the first time it won't work, and maybe the second or third time it won't work. But if you're the kind of person that is tenacious and you're able to adjust and find out why it didn't work, you will succeed. And I think that's the big thing: education, research, talking to people, sharing experiences, put it all together, and then make an objective decision that this is good or bad. Just because I like to drive red cars doesn't mean that I should open up a red car boutique, because there are a lot of people that don't like red cars. Make sure there is a market for what it is that you wish to develop and sell and promote. And I think that's one of the big issues. A lot of people do, because they like something, they figure they can start a business and have a profitable enterprise because they like it, without checking around and seeing if there really is a market, or if they're living in the market, that type of thing.
Is that something the Chamber can help with, and are there other things that the Chamber can help a person that's just starting get started?
Oh, I think so. This particular chamber, we're a business development chamber, so we focus really on helping people improve their skills, helping businesses improve their bottom line through our small business university, which is workshops and seminars. We sponsor the local SCORE organization, which is free counseling given by experienced people of all ages and of all backgrounds. We have the interaction between our business leaders in our community, whether it's at board committee or board level, where people can create relationships and learn from their experiences, pick up mentorships, those types of things. This chamber is becoming very active in small business development programs. So I think it's obviously, I'm not very unbiased about it, but I think this chamber today is a great place for an experienced businessman or a budding entrepreneur to pick up some skills and receive some value for the relationship with us.
Where can we learn more about the Chamber?
It's real easy, www.vapeninsula.chamber.com, and everything is there. A lot of links, a lot of resources. Also, for background information, you can go to www.score.org, which is the National SCORE website, which has just a myriad of anything you want to know about starting a business. You can also sign up for counseling, and it offers online counseling, face-to-face counseling here in our facility. We also have begun a relationship with the Virginia Department of Business Assistance, who will do counseling here on selling to the Commonwealth for those small contractors, government contractors, and that will start next month. And we'll have a lot more offerings with government contracting, because this is an area rich with people who wish to get into government contracting, but might have the skill but not the business acumen.
Right.
And our Government Contracting Council is forming right now, and we'll be starting in November. We'll start offering numerous programs on helping people team so that we can keep some of these contract dollars on the peninsula instead of losing them to firms in Maryland or Delaware or Pennsylvania. So great opportunities here, endless opportunities.
Well, thank you very much, Mike. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us on the road in Hampton Roads as we give the American entrepreneurial spirit a voice.